And we're live. Welcome to another edition of the Industry Insider, your promotional products podcast where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know about. My name is Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Headwear USA. I'm joined today by three other lovely folks, but before we get to them, I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about Tervis. We are brought to you today by Tervis, and they've been around since 1946, and they started out with their classic line. They've got sleek styles that make perfect for the active and on-the-go lifestyle. Tervis is the original double-wall insulated drinkware that keeps cold drinks cold and reduces condensation, and it's backed by a made-for-life guarantee. Tervis is the original customizable double-wall insulated drinkware that keeps hot drinks hot and cold drinks cold. Available in several sizes, including a 16-ounce mug, 16-ounce, and a 24-ounce tumbler, and a 24-ounce water bottle, and now a 24, 30, or 40-ounce wide-mouth bottle. It's great for slipping those ice cubes in. Made from Triton plastic, made in America, lifetime warranty. They are dishwasher and microwave safe, BPA free. You guys got to check them out at tervispromos.com. I promise you, you won't be sorry that you did. Like I said, joined today by three other lovely folks. Why don't we first say hi to Stephen McFadden with Perfect Promotions and More. How are you, Stephen?
Hey, doing well. I'm broadcasting live from our new office. So we're middle of a move. Taking the downtime between the holiday season here and transitioning everything from building to building. So
very nice. Very nice. So listen, all jokes aside, how was your birthday last week?
It was really good. It was nice. It was good. And I really appreciated the game. That was actually a lot of fun.
We had fun too. We had fun too. Wanted to make it a little special.
Thank you guys. That was a good time.
Yeah.
All right. So Meg's just going to rudely interrupt and introduce herself there.
Whoa.
I was just saying happy birthday.
Meg Erber, SNS Activewear. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Jeff?
I'm great. Thank you. I think it's the first time any of you all have asked me how I'm doing.
Well, you just usually tell us. So.
Yeah, usually volunteer that information.
Fair enough. We're also joined today by a big man, Nick Mirich with Headwear, El Presidente, right?
Yeah, I don't know what you guys here in the US have with the idea of the name Presidente, but once again, I'm up the warehouse doing stock take with the crew right now due to COVID. So it's you got to get your hands dirty. Doesn't matter what what level you're at, Jeff.
Yeah,
it's easy sitting at home, right, buddy?
Hey, man.
Can you make sure that you are my translator, right? We always start with the fact that if you don't understand me, Jeff will translate. So if any lingo goes amiss, make sure you email Jeff.
Listen, you just got to understand, you got to pronounce your R's a little bit better.
Ah.
There you go.
Was that an or
I understand more. I understand more of our clients up in Boston because I heard the whole park the car in the garage. So yeah. So I like my clients up in Boston.
There you go. Fair enough.
That's Boston, though. Everybody else.
It's customary. It's customary around here for us to give our special guest just a quick 3 to 4 minute, abbreviated or truncated version of, who Nick Mirich is. So why don't you give us the background story? Tell us a little bit from the college days and on, how your professional, career has gotten to where you are now. And, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, as you can tell with the funny accent, I'm from down south. And when I had a client come up to me at one of the shows, and I'm not going to point out who, but they said, "Are you from London?" I said, "No, that's an insult. Like, are you from the UK?" And I was like, "No, that's an insult." She goes, "So you're Irish?" And I went, "No, I'm from down south." And she goes, "Texas."
No. Nailed it.
Bit further down south than that. So, grew up in Sydney, Australia. Wasn't very studious and chose sports and got on the run with basketball, and so ended up over in the US and went to a school called George Mason University, which miraculously somehow ended up with a degree that I've never used, but tried to throw that the ball into that little hoop and somehow got away with it. As you all know, and Jeff was like, maybe mention my height, whatever it is, but I think you all know that at most trade shows, you'll see me standing at the bar. And I guess the joke is that, let's meet at Nick, because I'm
they can find you.
Always that moving target. So yeah, look, that's been my that's been my way to get over to the US. And then full circle, I actually, my wife's from the US and then ended up in Australia and played overseas. And so life went 360 full circle. And before you know it, I decided to get a real job. And so from trying to start my own business, which, when you don't have a clue, I got into the commemorative jewelry and somehow was in the promo business and had no idea about the promo supply chain. And therefore it was more of a hobby. And through a friend, I got involved with headwear, and that was back in 2007, and been with them ever since. And started in sales and went through the whole general manager position and ran the operation overseas. And headwear being global, we had the opportunity to move the family over back to the US. So it's gone a full 540 for me. And we ended up in Frederick, Maryland, which is literally 50 minutes away from where we went to school and where my wife grew up, and got family around. So it's been good. It's been a good opportunity to get back here and take on the US market, which is it's been a beast, but we've had fun doing it. And what have I been here since 2015? So yeah, I haven't got my citizenship, so I'm still on my green card, so I still have to behave.
Oh.
So that's the big part of it. That's my rundown.
Well, listen, Nick, since you mentioned your height, I was going to ask you, since everybody wants to know 2020, you've got these things in person that you can really take advantage of, but how are you, I guess, I would ask you how you're, I guess, transferring the height situation, because you're 6'10", so people are just naturally drawn to the height. It's just an obvious conversation starter. But then on Zoom, I'd say, all you have to do is open your mouth because you've got the Aussie accent. So it's like a triple threat,
So what's your question?
I kind of answered it myself, didn't I? You're 6'10", so what are you doing to?
Nick was
you can't really see that on the camera, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, I normally walk around trade shows with midgets like yourself. So,
I was going to say, how tall are you, Jeff?
I got to put people into perspective. But yeah, look, once again, it's just one of those things. It's always been a thing that I have never noticed. Like I actually, amongst my peers, like Brian Porter, like he's, it's one of those things where or CJ or some of the boys, Steve Hetrick, there's a few guys that are tall, and there's a guy taller than me at New Clients. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he's about 6'11". A little bit thinner than me. I know I could out wrestle him, but at the same time, there's
I don't know. I've seen Karen take you down.
Yeah, but look, it's one of those things. It's all about Zoom now, and it's the goalposts have changed.
You almost want one of those things you see at the grocery store about how high the burglar was behind you. So when you're sitting down on Zoom, you can just always remind people.
You never know how tall people are, though. Like, I think I met Steven for the first time in Vegas last year. Oh, yeah. I was looking for the picture, and it's like me, Megs, and then everybody else.
Me, my wife, and Jenna, and we're all like shorter than Meg, and Meg's
Well, Meg, you just said that your daughter's 6'3". So where does that height come from?
I mean, I'm 5'11". Her dad's. I'm actually the shortest one in my family, except for my mom. So I have, 4 brothers. My dad, everyone's taller than me. Yeah. And I'm 5'11". I'm almost 6 foot. So I'd like to say she gets it from me.
Fair enough. So listen, the topic we're going to talk about today, obviously with it, coming up on New Year's, we want to do a 2020 year in review type of podcast. I know we did this again last year, but just a little bit of a different situation this year, obviously. And so we want to talk, just recap 2020, the shitstorm that rolled in about mid-March, and and how everybody sort of handled that. And then, hopefully we can, put a bit of a silver lining on the dark cloud, and maybe talk some positive stuff as well with what's happened and what we're looking forward to in 2021. Yeah. So Meg, why don't you kick us off?
Oh, okay. Well, let's start off, in Vegas. I think we all had these big plans. We were just so excited. We didn't even do these video, podcasts back then. And we had this great idea to go live in Vegas from the show floor. I don't even think the show ever made it to anything, but it was kind of, you know, laying the groundwork for 2020 really. And I will say after Vegas, I thought I could have swore this was going to be the product of the year because of the past years. It was that little nugget dipping sauce.
The dip trip.
Right. And I'm like, I was like, I wanted to personally do them as a self promo to give them out to everybody. Cause I'm like, I'm in my car like 10 hours a day eating those little chicken nuggets. And then alas, March hit and then everything went to shit. So I think the, you know, best selling product out there was the masks, which I sold. So I don't know. Let's start off with that. Like going into this March, like we had such big plans and aspirations for everything, like, and everything was just wiped off the table. Like you know, I think we all go into a different year with these goals and New Year's resolutions. And then, you know, they really do. They really changed. Everything changed. It was like once 9/11 hit almost, you know, like everyone remembers where they were when those planes hit, you know, it's like there's certain things in your life that you remember. And it's like, back in February, you were starting to hear about this virus and it's like, I wonder if there's anything to do with it, but you are all so preoccupied, not you in general, but all of us are just so preoccupied with our own lives and everything that was going on that we weren't really paying much attention to this. Like, oh yeah, there's a virus in China and it might disrupt the supply chain, but it really didn't affect me as much. Not a lot of my products come from China. So, you know, it wasn't like really on my forefront. And then we went up to Boston for that volleyball tournament, March 7th, that weekend. And it was like, kind of hit us in the face, the reality of it all, like how careful they were. And I think, I keep saying this, there were so many people there and thinking about like all those people. Like I was just watching a show with my daughter last night and nobody was wearing masks. And we were like, oh my God, it was just so weird to see the change. Like this year, next year is just going to be, I think our outlook is going to be so much more vastly different. We're so much less naive, I think, now that something terrible has happened to all of us. I mean, this is, whether we had a good year or a bad year, like this happening is just terrible. It all affected us in one way or the other, good or bad. Mostly, I mean, somebody was affected badly that we know, everybody. So I don't know. I'll start with that, but I don't want to leave it on a down note, but you know, I think it's one thing we'll all remember is where we were when we first realized it was like shit's hitting the fan.
I'll be honest with you. I was in Nashville meeting with a client, and they were talking about how, you know, they were talking about how they were potentially going to be closing the bars down, and I was like, and everybody was like, nah, there's no way in hell they'll ever close the bars down. It'll destroy the city, blah blah blah, like whatever. And, you know, then I came back like literally that next day, and then I heard the same shit about Maryland. You know, they were talking about shutting businesses down. I was like, how can that happen? Like, that's not possible. Like, we live in America, you know, it's the land of the free and the home of the brave and, you know, free enterprise and, you know, capitalism. Like, how is that even allowed or possible? And then the next thing you know, like the very next day, shut everything down, man. So it was crazy. So yeah, like you said, I think we all, you know, in Vegas had very positive outlooks or expectations for 2020, and it was going that way. Like the first quarter, you know, was pretty smashing as far as business went, and then
smashing. I mean, I was up over 230% by the end of March, which is insane.
Yeah.
Insane. And, you know, Tony Lametti said, positive note, the promo industry once again has proven that we can weather the storm. Business will always need to advertise. And I think that's what we've proven. Like, there's no other industry that is so like family oriented like we are. Like we're just a big family, and we've come together as a family to kind of, I hate the word pivot, but we needed to make it work. You know, we weren't going to let our industry be the one that went to the wayside, that disrupted the rest of the chain supplies. You know, like we said, this is our time. This is our Goonies reference. This is our time. Like we were put in these positions. We're entrepreneurs. We all have the same sales mindset. Like we don't want to just sit here and wait for something to happen to us, wait for the sales to come in. We all did something different. Everyone changed their business models. They had to. It was either adapt and evolve or be left behind and turn to dust. So I think we all figured out that it needed to happen, and we just did it.
Yeah, I think the big thing there is, you know, just changing the language around, you know, and just hearing that comment on the chat, I guess is really the first thing. I'm just blessed that my business partner's been doing this for over 35 years, you know, and being global and understanding that whole perspective. That's been a huge thing. And the first thing that he said was, don't panic. You know what I mean? And the beautiful part about that is we've been doing this for a very long time, as have a lot of people in the industry. And we've had a different outlook from the get-go. Part one is it created a lot of clarity, you know, not running around and just, I guess, flying a flag and going from one trade show to the next. And not to say that that's not one form of advertising, but there's, you know, this business has always been about relationships. And that's how Headwear has always grown our business. I mean, we don't even put the logo on the cap. We don't put it on the box. You know, we don't actually market our product worldwide. Like you won't see our information anywhere. And so that's how we've always differentiated with ourselves. So for us, it's been no different. You know, like for us, it's, hey, who do you know? Like, where are those relationships? And the sad part for me is through COVID, it's been either people getting let go or acquisitions. And so when that happens, people go amiss. And you know, just to, I mean, when I first moved to the US, I came in and I was like, yeah, I'm going to be super competitive because that's just in my nature, and I'm ready to throw down and we're going to go get it, you know, hoo-ha, you know. So I was ready to go. And the funny thing is when I got here, you know, people like, and I say Dave Saraceno, being an older statesman, you know, he welcomed me into the industry, you know, and just was like, and pointed me in the right direction. And guys like CJ and Steve Hetrick from HIT, like, and there's a bunch of them like Jason from Toddy Gear. You know, I don't want to miss anyone, but I could most probably keep rambling about all the people that, you know, I've developed a relationship with, and everyone's been welcoming. And that's the part that I'm missing. Like that's, you know, forget about the business part, but that part I'm missing. And once again, haven't really formally been able to say goodbye to some of these guys, you know, and same thing through the acquisitions and like your Jeff Letterers and Mark Ziskind, you know what I mean? You know, I could just continue to name them as they've sort of moved on to the next chapter. But you know, and here I am. Yeah, I too would like to move down to Florida and retire, but definitely far from that. So Jeff, definitely going to have to start selling more caps and at this point masks for me to be able to get to that stage. But yeah, look, I that's the negative side. On the positive side, I've just been blessed to be part of that global supply chain that we've got, and we were able to shift really quickly into selling source control masks, promotional masks. Now, what I mean by that is people geared towards, you know, selling paper masks, and then now there's nothing in it. And then people started doing blank ones. We've always known that our industry is about putting the logo on it. So at no point did we jump into investing into stocking it. We just went with what we do on the headwear side, and we've just been blessed. We've been in that relationship for such a long time that we zigged and zagged as fast as we could. But it was a steep learning curve. It was a lot of hours, and it's been well worth it to be able to. And I say keep people employed. That's been an amazing. That's been the amazing side, is that I personally haven't had to let go of people. We're looking forward to 2021 and growing. And yeah, I'm just trying to give it that positive outlook, because I do think that our industry differentiates itself in the fact that, yeah, everyone needs to promote their business. If you're coming into 2021, you know, you got to be pushing that and promoting that business. And I truly think that when it comes to the people that aren't being proactive, you know, we've had 9 months of clients, like people we've got relationships with, that have developed proactive opportunities to get ready for 2021. That started 9 months ago for some of the people that we're working in with. Like the light switch doesn't just turn on in 2021. You've got to do the legwork. Like we're heading into summer. I mean, for the summer product, you've got to be preparing for that now. So I'm trying to get, you know, clients that, you know, and I'm saying, you know, being optimistic in that. And I've had some Zoom meetings where people get off going, wow, okay, like, you know, utilize your supply chain, utilize your suppliers. Like I'm sure you've got relationships, and if you're part of any of those those buying groups and the likes, or national accounts, then yeah, go out to your suppliers, see who's going to support you in developing that, and get ready for 2021. Don't wait for it.
Don't wait for it.
So it was cool, interesting while you guys were talking. I was trying to think, like, what's the clearest way I can see the whole year in like a snapshot. And I was scrolling through my pictures starting in January. And this is an exercise I would encourage everyone to do if they haven't yet, because it literally went from Vegas to Super Bowl to I was at a museum, like, with people. I was at a jump zone. We were then in Disney at the end of February. And then starting in March, it's my home office desk, workout equipment in one of my bedrooms, and just nothing but pictures of family after that. And I was like, it's such clear, it's so clear. Like at February 29th, I don't have another picture with people other than my family for months, like on my phone. And, I was thinking, I was like, what's the business version of that? And I looked at an old calendar I had, because I, try to plan out all my trips that I had planned. And I had trade shows, all, months planned out and all sorts of things. I didn't do any of them, not a single one of them, like months after months of just stuff that didn't happen. And I think that's just kind of shows you where the year was, right?
Yeah.
It was all these plans, all these, lots of excitement and activity. And then it just totally, I think, caught people off guard. And I think what you guys said is key, right? It's how long were we going to just be comfortable with, hanging out? And I think, I talked to several folks about that. And I think from a sales perspective, everyone was just kind of waiting for it just to be over, in the very beginning, it's like, all right, a month or two, we'll be back, we can handle this for a few weeks or whatever. And then as it just kept going, people had to really transition to figure out, okay, this isn't changing, so let's just change ourselves. And I think that's really when, I think the middle of the year, in the summer, when people really started realizing how proactive they had to be. And Nick, I think you hit it on the head. Like, if you aren't being proactive, especially now, I mean, you're way behind,
Yep.
So,
well, that's the thing. I mean, I think for a lot of distributors, Stephen, you could probably, verify this, but, a lot of the distributor clients that are out there all find that being proactive and having that level of proactivity is a super benefit. The problem is figuring out the time, or actually just setting aside the time and being better with that time management to actually do it. And so, for Headwear, I can speak for us. Like when we first, when all this first started, like our vision was to, absolutely double down on the proactive stuff, because, hey, guess what? All of our clients now have an open calendar and they have a lot of time on their hands. And so the best thing to do is hit them now while they've actually got the time. And that's, like you said, Nick, 9 months ago, we've been, hitting that proactive stuff. And I think it's going to catapult us in 2021, beyond where we are because of the masks. But like you said, Nick, I'm thankful that we do have, Peter and the global director just, sort of looking after the business with the people like yourself, to be able to have that foresight of saying, it's not smart to get into the blank masks or the N95s or anything like that, because it's not our industry. And so being able to put the logo on the mask is something that's completely different. And I think once we really got that done, and the research and development and all that, just being able to launch into that's actually been a really good, powerful thing for us. And, Stephen, I'm going to look at it like a positive thing. Like I feel like I'm very blessed to have my phone full of just my family, because this year I was, 32 weeks this year, man. I wouldn't have had pictures of my family other than what my wife sends me when I'm on the road. And, so the struggle now is like figuring out how to not take it for granted. Right. Like, when you have an abundance of it, it's pretty easy to settle in and take it for granted. And I'm just trying to soak up every minute of it that I can, to be honest with you. And that's what I got to continue to remind myself of.
Jeff, you'll know this, but for you other guys, like, it actually allowed me to go through my midlife crisis. And so I went and got my motorbike. I went and got my motorbike license and went on a couple of rides. And don't know why I did that. Like, not that the wife or mother or no one's really like happy about it. Because the life insurance policies and all that much, but might not cover it. But at the same time, then I've started snowboarding as well. So, 6'10", snowboarder, knocking over little 12-year-olds as I go down, because it's not like I'm turning very quickly. So yeah, like I said, I'm going through the midlife crisis, and COVID's been kind in that way.
I'm happy about the motorbike license, Nick, because we've been talking about it for 3 or 4 years now. So yeah. I'm glad to see it actually happen. And congratulations. I'm excited for us to go on that trip together. We're gonna have to do that at some point.
I live by a truck stop. You guys will have to drive by.
Yeah. There you go. All right. So anybody else have anything, any other remarks as far as 2020 goes? I know acquisitions, Nick, you mentioned, there was just one, what was it, last week, where Kuzi Group, AKA Big Graphics, just acquired Imagine Brands. So that's continuing to happen. And I think it's only going to, probably.
Look, Jeff, I really think that it's a catch-22, so, we need the diversity, I believe, in terms of our supply chain. We're a single source supplier. So, and I understand there's some, the S&S's of this world and the larger companies that go for a broader range of different products. But, to keep that diversity and keep it alive, I think there is a need to have that variety and work with some people that are specialists in it. And that's where I feel like we fit in. But, once again, with the acquisitions, the way I believe it creates more opportunity. Once again, I've got to flip it to the positive. If you see, a space and while there's the adjustments going on, I'm thinking, okay, this is great, because, we are specialists in what we do. So, and that's what we've always done. I mean, a long time ago, way before my time, is one of our competitors in Australia, before we came overseas, they started getting into bags and gloves. And so we got into bags, and within a year we went, we're not doing bags anymore. And instead of looking at the opportunity, Peter, who started it, he was like, okay, instead of trying to spread my range and looking at it on a national scale, go with a single source product and be an expert at it and go on a global scale. And that's where I feel like with these acquisitions, even with the acquisitions on the distributor side, I still think, there's opportunities everywhere. And that's where I, just looking at the industry, it's naturally going to happen. They already predicted it was going to happen before COVID, but I think it's just accelerated it a little bit faster. And once again, we've been through acquisitions. We've been blessed with Tom Savio and the guys over at Chamberlain and CSC. When those acquisitions went through, we were doing such good stuff with the Legacy Group that once they sold out or got bought up by Halo, it propelled us. And so those sort of things, it's just amazing how it sort of comes to fruition, and it continues to happen. So it's a fun game. But that's where I'll leave it to Jeff. Jeff, that's on you, man. I'm not, national sales guy. How about you go get it, mate?
Yeah, fair enough. Appreciate the pressure. So yeah, I think with that being said, we can launch into rapid fire because we're getting close to that time. So now, Nick, I didn't prepare you for this, but you're pretty good at your feet. So each of us are just going to ask a question, and then everybody will answer it rapid fire. And it's just going to be one round. So you'll have a question to ask everybody, and everybody will answer it. Same goes for us to everybody else. So I'll actually go first this time, and give Nick an opportunity to think about it for a second. So where are you guys popping the bubbly this year?
Home.
Right here. I was like, oh, what are we going to do for New Year's Eve? And he's like, I don't know. How do we do every night? Like we're in bed by like 7:30.
Really? You're not even going to stay up and watch a broadcast?
Well, no, we definitely will. But you know what? Here's the thing. Like, I don't know how COVID is by you guys. Like, I feel like everybody in my area has COVID right now. It's so scary. We actually went and like did a game night with some friends that I like my circle friends that I'm the only people I even see. Come to find out, like I'm looking at Facebook and then so-and-so's got COVID. So-and-so's got like 5 people from last week had COVID. And I'm freaking out. My nose is running. I'm like, oh my God, I've got COVID. And I'm like freaking out, go and get tested. Oh, COVID. I can't handle that anxiety. So I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to stay home.
Home. Yeah. Home. Might watch some movies, watch the ball drop, hang out at the house.
Yeah.
Nada.
I mean, I've been wearing slippers all year.
Well, part of our issue here too, Jeff, is we have a 10 o'clock curfew in place now. So
wow.
We were thinking about doing a game night with our circle friends as well, Meg, but someone brought up the point of, yeah, but if you're driving home at midnight, now there's automatic probable cause just to pull everybody over that's late, right? Because you're already out past curfew. So It's like you definitely don't want to do anything dumb or just be out too late.
Yeah.
Curfew in place. So
yeah, it's stupid. And I think that's what's like the lockdown. People are having these house parties, and that's where it's all being spread. It's just crazy. Yeah. Crazy.
Nick, how about you? You guys doing anything special?
Look, I don't have the fear of COVID because I'm kind of above that, guys. You know what I mean? Let's go back to the height. You know what I mean? Everything goes downhill.
COVID, right? Yeah, COVID's at the 5'4"
maybe that's why I'm having
5'5",
range. Yeah, 5'5" to 6'3". Like I'm out of that range for you guys. But no, look, we've got some friends that got a place downtown in Frederick, which is a real cute little town. If you've never been to Frederick, you should get yourself down here. But it's gorgeous, and so we might do that. But yeah, we've been quite conservative in getting out, but yeah, that might be about it.
Fair enough. Meg, how about your question?
What is the number one thing, like the saying you're like that you've said all year long? Like your cliche, like, all right, I'll go first. You're on mute. Constantly telling people they're on mute.
Par for the course.
New normal.
Oh.
Said that way too much.
The new normal. What about you, Nick? What's your go-to saying? Like or not your go-to, but what are you always finding yourself saying?
Give me the order.
Give me the order. Yeah. Give me the order or stick it up your jumper.
That's what you might be saying.
My favorite term, guys, is your lack of preparation leaves me no reason to panic. That is.
Oh, it's not
Are we doing favorite sayings?
It's got to be number one on the list. Like your lack of preparation leaves me no reason to panic. Use it anytime you like, but the only time you want to use that is when you're actually trying to get rid of a client. All good.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
I only used it twice this year.
Jeff Brook chimes in on Facebook. He says, Nick, Happy New Year's. Your caps are great. Thanks for all you do in our industry. Tony Lametti also wants to know, is Nick bringing back the man bun for 2021?
It's out here. Like I don't want to look like a Yeti, but I'll tell you quick. It'll be a quick.
Your hair
story.
looks better than Meg's.
It'll be a quick story. It'll be a quick story.
All right.
When I went to George Mason, there was a coach called Jim Larinaga, and the first thing when he switched from, I had a first coach was a guy called Paul Westhead, and Paul Westhead just let us run amok. He was an ex-NBA guy, and we came in, and I grew my hair out. And you think you're the guy. Anyway, so after that, Jim Larinaga came in and he told me, you're going to have to cut your hair. And I felt like Samson. I was like, you cut my hair, I'm done, right? So he makes me cut my hair, and I cut it into more like a little bob / undercut. Thought it was trendy, And
in 1994.
And then I come into the next training session, and he says, I think you might want to cut your hair again. It's not short enough. And I was like, I'm a college kid from Australia. The Australian dollar's at 50 cents, so I'm not getting any money out of it. And then he ends up saying, no, you got to cut it again. So I cut it again, and it was it was a little bit longer and it was still trendy. And I put some gel in it, and he was like, it's not short enough. And so he shows me a photo. It's like a military photo. He says, you need to go a haircut like this. And I was like, at this point, I'm like, you should have told me that at the beginning. I've already wasted like what, $20. And that was a lot of money for me back then. You know, that's at least like 2 24 packs of Natty Ice back in the day. You know what I mean? And so here I am. I go and get my final haircut. And I remember it clearly. I walk out to this presentation that they do at the beginning of the season for his first year, my third year. And I had the product and it was spiked up, and I thought it was awesome. And then he goes, Nick, come here. And in front of everyone, like 200 to 300 people, pulls me to the toilet, pulls out a comb out of his back pocket and slicks my hair down, parts it, slicks it down. And as I'm walking out of the toilet, I'm trying to shake out the part because I look like, what's that kid with the alfalfa kid?
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I know who.
The alfalfa, right?
Yeah,
Alfalfa.
I know who you're talking about from.
Yeah. So I'm like, here I am trying to shake it out. The whole team's laughing. Like, it was the most embarrassing moment of my life. But can I tell you what a learning experience? And Jim actually tells that story now. Like, you know, talk about teaching compliance. But here I am. If Jim's watching, anyone pass this on to Jim Larranaga, I've grown me hair back. All right. It's a statement.
That's good. That's good, Nick.
Yeah. All right, Stephen, what's your question?
I'm going to go with, what is your favorite ethnic cuisine? Like, favorite type of food?
Thai food.
That is mine, actually. Thai.
I'm a big fan of pho. Some Vietnamese soup.
There you go.
Love it. It all depends on the broth, though. It's all about some good broth. What
about you, Nick?
Yeah, look, I've been eating a lot of pho, but I miss a good lamb roast. Like, lamb's not huge here. Like, lamb is massive,
like Greek
in Australia.
Or
yeah, just on like a roast, just a lamb roast. Like on a spit is obviously the best way to do it, but it seems like, you know, lamb isn't as big here.
I found a U.S. poll where they polled people about like what their favorite. Chinese was number 1, Mexican was number 2, Italian was 3.
Wow.
And then Greek, French, Thai, Spanish, Indian.
Mexican and Italian, I definitely get and understand.
Yeah, and Chinese food. We eat Chinese a lot.
Yeah.
Nick, before we let you go, you have to teach us how to say something in Australian.
Well, Nick has to ask us his question first.
Oh yeah, look. What'd you get for Christmas and New Year's resolution? Or are you allowed to say that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I got a gift certificate to my dermatologist. You know,
nice.
And my New Year's resolution is to cut down my screen time on my phone. I did that last year. It was amazing. I was down to like 5 hours, and then COVID hit, and I looked at it the other day and it was a lot more than 5 hours. So I'm like, this is time that I could be spending with my family. Like, I'm either working or I'm like, you know, so I'm going to put away the phone when work's done. I'm putting it away. I'm gonna really, because for a lot of people, 2020 was like, you know, if I didn't have this time, I wouldn't have time to spend with my children like you, Jeff. But like, I felt like I worked more this year, and the time that I could have spent, I might've been on my phone or something. And I'm just going to put my phone down more. I think that's a big thing for 2020. I think it's going to help in relationships and with my family overall. And that's my New Year's resolution.
Yeah, let me clarify that, because, you know, when I'm on the road, like, I'm not getting any real face-to-face time with the kids. You know, I might do FaceTime, but that never really ends up very well with a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
But, you know, even just to have an hour or two in the evenings with them, you know, because I'm home is what I mean, more so than anything.
Yeah.
Stephen, how about you? What's your answer?
So I might actually carry over this year's New Year's revolution. Not revolution. It's a revolution. You know, because I did do very well. And I don't really have anyone to blame but myself. But it just got my priorities changed, like partway through the year, and so I've got some health goals, some tithing goals, you know, with finance stuff, and then there's some business goals. I don't have firm numbers yet on what those things are, but I will by by New Year's, and I usually make like a little graphic and put it as a background on my phone as like a reminder. So every time I open my phone, I see it. But if I had less phone time as one of my goals, that would be counterproductive. So
yeah. So for Christmas, I got slippers. Christmas is all about the kids, man. It's not about me.
Yeah.
So. And then a New Year's resolution. I think you definitely have several goals, whether it's personal or work. And so I'll just keep this more on the work side, and just say that my goal is just to put in more hours, more time, figure out how to be more efficient with the time that I am putting in. Because Nick, you and I had the conversation last night. There's the pressure's on, and there's a lot to be had with the success that we've had this year. So. We got to be able to really ramp things up and, at the very least maintain, but I don't even want to do that, man. I want to catapult through where we're at now.
Sounds like he's selling it to me.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Jeff's goal is to be the best employee he can be and work harder.
Calm down. I think that, it just resonates throughout our business, worldwide. We've got this it's really competitive. And, statistically, the Canadians are actually beating us, and it really upsets me. You know what I mean? It's my buddy Rowan up in Canada, Headwear Canada. So if he's out there, once again, it's just been one of those things. So I completely understand it, Jeff. Like, my goal then on the business front is to get at the top of that leaderboard. But at the same time, for me, I got one of those, those handheld battery operated massage things.
Oh.
And I thought they were so lame. I'm like, no, I like getting like a proper massage. And I promise you, it is, I can't even remember the brand. So it's not like I'm plugging anything here. It literally is one of the best.
It goes on your neck like a little.
Yeah, it's like
one of the gun things.
Yeah, but it's like this big. Look, I'll send you a link to what it is, because I can't remember what it is, but it's absolutely amazing. Yeah, definitely should get yourselves one of those. And then for the New Year's resolution, like I need to be able to split work and life balance. So I think that's, I've stopped complete social media. Like, I check it very sporadically, and I don't post anything. I just do the one-on-one conversations, which has served me really well. And then furthermore is I want to get a bike like that. I'm going to continue the midlife crisis. It's going to be a period, not just 1 year. But it's just going to be able to split that life up and be able to enjoy the fruits of the labor and separate the two. Hopefully sooner than not, get back to Oz and see the family. That's got to be on the agenda.
Yep, absolutely. So real quick, we'll just talk about, again, Tervis promos, because we are brought to you today by Tervis. And so likewise, they've added stainless to their well-established line about 2 years ago. So I'm sure that's doing well. I know Drinkware has actually done somewhat decent this year. And so, they've got the goal of being better than the competition by utilizing state-of-the-art custom 360-degree UV printing. Available in 4 sizes. They've got a 12-ounce, a 20-ounce, a 30-ounce, or a 24-ounce water bottle. 5-year warranty, 18.8 copper lined, vacuum insulated. They keep your drinks hot for 8 hours or cold for 24 hours. That ice is still in there the next day, baby. I love it. Go check them out at tervispromos.com. You won't be sorry that you did. So real quick, Nick, I know Meg wanted you to say something in Australian. I don't know why, because it's still English. But more importantly, I think I need you to say something in Serbian for everybody.
Oh, why is that?
I don't know. Just because it's different.
And all the best, guys. Really appreciate it. For everyone that's out there and still rocking and rolling with the industry, I really do look forward to seeing you all again. For those that have moved on from the industry, thank you. And we've Headwear's really appreciated the support from our partners throughout. So to all of you out there, look forward to catching up.
Awesome. Oh, that about wraps it up, man. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Nick, thanks for being on with us. Really appreciate your time.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thanks.